The FDA is responsible for protecting the public health by assuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human drugs and our nation's food supply. How is the FDA protecting us from drugs? The pharmaceutical company needs to do the following: lab and animal testing, a 3-phase clinical trials in humans. The pharmaceutical company sends their data results to the FDA. Then the drug is approved for sale. After the drug is approved, the FDA monitors this drug via MedWatch. If an unexpected drug-related health risk occurs, which outweighs the initial benefits, occasionally the drug might be withdrawn from the market. Despite all these measurements taken by the FDA, there are 100,000 deaths reported in the U.S. yearly caused by adverse drug reactions. Adverse drug reactions is the 4th leading cause of death in the U.S., ahead of diabetes, AIDS, accidents, and automobile deaths. Over 2 million serious adverse drug reactions are reported yearly.
Pharmaceutical industry is a business. They make business decisions. The drugs that they produce and go forward with are based on a business decision because they have a lot of things going on at the same time, and they could try this drug or that drug, but the truth is they're trying drugs that are not extremely long-term effective. Why don't we get drugs that matter? I say to people all the time, as long as we keep supporting drugs that are 2 to 3 month advantage, what have we gotten? Drugs with 2 to 3 months advantages. We have to say 2 to 3 months? No go, not acceptable. We need much better treatments. Where do people who work at FDA go for jobs later? Many of them do go to the pharmaceutical industry.
Conflicts of interest between pharmaceutical companies and the FDA. The drug Yaz and Yasmin by Bayer was withdrawn from the market due to its link to strokes and heart attacks on women. An investigation found that at least 4 members of the FDA advisory committee that approved this drug have either done work for the drug's manufacturers or received research funding from them. Each of those 4 panelists who received money from the pill's manufacturer voted in favor of the pill. The committee's ruling that the drug's benefit outweighs the risks was decided by a 4-vote margin. While the FDA allowed voting by advisors with business connections to this drug, the agency didn't allow voting from advisor and former researcher Sidney Wolfe on the grounds that he has an intellectual conflict of interest. 6 years earlier, Wolfe had advised his readers not to take Yaz based on several years of data. Conflicts of interest between pharmaceutical companies and doctors. Drug companies pay doctors, researchers, and medical experts for speaking engagements and consulting jobs, all of which is perfectly legal, despite a blatant conflict of interest.
You treat the symptom, you suppress it, and the symptom is actually often a form of healing. It's the way your body heals. When you have a fever, generally it helps to inhibit viral and bacterial replication. Obviously, by suppressing the symptom, the disease process goes deeper within. It's not always true, but generally the allopathic model is doomed to create more disease, which is more business, so of course that's how it perpetuates itself.
Corporate-funded medical ghostwriting involves a pharmaceutical company that hires a medical communications company to draft manuscripts of research studies for them. They are then passed off for signatures by research academics in major universities like Stanford, Yale, and even Harvard. These researchers sometimes only ask for minor changes, and with their signatures, the studies get published in the leading medical journals. This practice of ghostwriting can heavily influence your doctor to prescribe you or a family member a drug when you don't really need it.
Even over-the-counter medications, if you look at ibuprofen and aspirin, I imagine that they're responsible for many different deaths that we'll never be able to track down to a single cause. You know, that's the challenge, is that we are exposed to hundreds of chemicals. So legally speaking, if you're a manufacturer or if you're promoting the use of these chemicals, you're completely protected. No one can prove that any one chemical compound is responsible for your death. So what actually I believe happens is that since all these compounds are intrinsically xenobiotic, foreign chemicals, evolutionarily unprecedented, is that they take one of, say, 100 or more adverse health effects or side effects, and they package it. So if it's causing you to feel drowsy, well, then they turn it into a sleep medication. Or if it has this effect of causing diarrhea, well, then they give it to those who are constipated. So that's how chemical compounds work, is that you can't introduce it into a body that is not composed of ultimately petrochemically derived substances.